get this one going then. Do a quick intro. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Midcurve. I don't know the episode number, doesn't matter. But we're here with Caitlin of Moonwalk. She's been on the show before, and we'd love to have her back because we just launched our game. It's called a game, right? I
Yeah.
always want to say like our Moonwalk market because everything else we do at Judo is like a market.
Mhm.
But yeah, so we just launched the Midcurve 30 Days of Grind game where you can join for 0.25 Soul. And you have to hit 5,000 steps a day for 30 days. And if you do, you don't lose any of your soul, and you earn some of the soul from people who did not meet the required steps. Is that correct?
Yep.
Did I say that? Did I say that
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Hit your step goals, keep your money, miss your step goals. Part of that money goes to a prize pool that's split amongst the people that hit their steps. Yeah.
That's right. Okay. So you explained it much better to me. That's a great elevator pitch right there. But the other thing that our little game has is we have a bonus prize of 200 JTO, which gets split up amongst the people who meet their goal. Right?
Yep.
Cool. Perfect. So if you are seeing this, which I'm going to try to get this podcast out as fast as possible, go join the game. We already have like 330 people-ish playing, so it's actually pretty cool. And we have people talking about it in Discord and on Twitter, so go check that out. So let's jump into Moonwalk though, and let's jump into community, like building community. So first of all, like give me a brief overview. I know we were just talking about this off air, but give me a brief overview of what's coming up for Moonwalk.
Yeah. So couldn't be more excited about this right now. The way that Moonwalk works, and the people joining your game would know this too, is that it's currently in web browser, not an iOS or Android app. You can sign in with SPL Wallet, so like Phantom, Backpack, Soulflare, or you can sign in with Gmail via an integration with TipLink. But in terms of onboarding, it's pretty much been targeted towards a crypto native audience in the Solana community, which is where the whole Moonwalk team really comes from. I have been in the Solana community for a while. So started the sort of beta testing process with them. We've had a lot of early success, a lot of really passionate users that have kind of stuck around, which is great. But at the end of the day, we're trying to target actual true mainstream consumer. And, a lot of teams in the past have said they're doing that, but in terms of the product itself and what it means to actually onboard people to an app that's built on chain and make it really friendly and easy for them, I don't think a lot of projects historically have gone to the lengths required to actually make it simple. So along that line, for Moonwalk, we're launching our iOS and Android apps very soon in the coming weeks. And that experience is going to be something that my mom could use. You sign it with phone number, you sign it with email, you sign it with Apple, something, that people would do every single day, right? Not unfamiliar. And then in terms of putting up entry deposits for games to join step contests, you're going to be able to do that fully with fiat, whether that's credit card, bank account, Apple Pay. So you don't need a crypto wallet. You don't need to have that wallet funded with crypto to get started. That's historically been super overwhelming and a bit of a hurdle that kind of disincentivizes people to get started. So we want to make it as easy as possible for people to go from sign up to joining their first game. And, obviously I haven't shared this like publicly of what it looks like, but it looks incredible and it's just going to elevate the experience a lot. And we're going to go into like hyper growth mode in terms of growing our global community and doing a lot of really fun marketing activations and getting people active and getting them started on Moonwalk contests. So there's a lot going on. That's the biggest thing. And then we also just announced our fundraise last week, which is always good, but it's just going to like fuel the development side of like making this an actual mainstream friendly app, which I'm pumped about.
That's awesome. First of all, shots fired calling us not mainstream consumers because I feel like I am a mainstream consumer. No, but I have a question about that. So people, I didn't know this. People are going to be able to play the game with fiat, but like how will that work? Will you still be able to join the game? Because like right now, like you put in Soul for our game. Will you be able to join a game with like both fiat and Soul?
Yeah. So basically, the way that it's going to work, if you're a user that's coming in through the flow and is not signed up with a crypto wallet, you're going to see everything for, the amount of entry deposits for games are going to be shown in credits, kind of like going to an arcade, right? It's like 5 credits to play a game, 10 credits, 1 credit, whatever the case may be. Credit being equivalent to a USD or USDC. So the way that it'll work if you're joining with a crypto wallet, and you can see this in Moonwalk right now. You'll log on, you'll go to your profile. If you've connected with a wallet, it'll show in this on the site what your USDC, Sol, and Bonk balances are, because those are what you can use to join games. Basically, from my understanding of how it'll work, is that it'll show kind of like the conversion. If it's USDC, it's obviously 1-to-1 on like a USDC to a credit. But for a game that's like Sol or Bonk, it'll just do like the conversion of what that equals in US dollar value and kind of round that up to a number of credits. So if you're joining with a crypto wallet and signed in, you're going to have a mode where you can see what the entry amounts are denominated in, for like in terms of crypto, whatever the game creator uses. If you're joining, say like my mom is joining, everything's going to be shown in credit. So it's nice round numbers, way easier to see. It's very clear what the conversion is from like a USD to a credit. And that's all they'll see, rather than, if my mom was coming to use Moonwalk and she downloads the app, it'd be very confusing to like buy credits and then see a game. And it's like, oh, that's a million bonk. You're like, well, I don't know what that means. So it's just going to show the conversion rate in terms of credits and kind of go from there to keep it really simple.
Mm-hmm. That's okay. That's pretty cool. And like, I mean, I that's brilliant to try to bring people like normies into the space, obviously, right? Like converting them. And this is how we've always talked about, mass adoption happening is like crypto should be the rails and the back end. It doesn't necessarily have to be the front and center thing at the beginning. So it's funny. We were actually talking about this I'm about to release the full conversation that I had with Toli and Mert and Lucas from Singapore. It's like a 45-minute conversation. And we were talking about like consumer apps and what consumer apps need to be built to bring people in. And Moonwalk came up because all of us use some type of fitness app, right? Like I use Strava a lot. Lucas is into cycling and running or whatever. And so I know I asked this last time, but we all came to the consensus that like, yeah, fitness apps are going to be great to bring people into the space, right? But will Moonwalk eventually move into like cycling or other things, or is it just going to be like a steps app?
Oh no, we're fully planning to like expand the kind of suite of everything that's covered to the activities that anyone really will do in a given day.
Mm-hmm.
In the way that Strava or Apple Health or whatever you're using, you can kind of track different activities. Moonwalk will do that as well and have different types of contests laid out for those activities. We're just starting with the most simple thing, which is steps, right? In terms of tracking and accessibility, and you don't really need the equipment there, which I know we talked about last time, but starting with steps, we'll expand from there. We want to make sure that the UI UX of it is like rock solid first, and then we can expand into all of these different activities, because at least in my head, and I'm sure the rest of the team feels this way as well, is like we want Moonwalk to be the first thing that comes to mind when people think about fitness at all, right? You don't want to have to go jump from app to app to app to like see your biometrics and see the activities that you've done in a day, or calories burned, or steps, or track your workouts. It should all be in one place. And we want to be that place. It's just obviously we need to make sure that the experience that people are coming to is really rock solid at a foundational level, and then build it out more. But that's definitely the end state. It's going to be the place that people go, similar to how people go to Strava and other apps today, but we'll have the added kind of gamification and financial incentives layer that you can't find anywhere else, which I think is very uniquely enabled by Solana and just being on chain.
Yep. Perfect. Okay. That's going to make Toli very happy because he brought up snowboarding.
Raj wants snowboarding too. I know. I'm like our whole team there's big skiers. Like it would be so fun to have that. It's just like the, one step at a time. I get excited thinking about the things that we can do. It's just more of a like you eat an elephant one bite at a time. So there's so many different ways that we can go with it, and we'll probably go in a lot of the directions, but it's just like do one thing well, which I think is definitely a better approach than like rolling it out too fast and having everything kind of be broken when you're trying to onboard the like less patient, less forgiving, kind of more mainstream crowd versus crypto, which I think is very, very much used to being like the beta testers and having a more janky experience that they kind of evolve with as the app develops. So it'll be a little bit slower, but we're going to get there.
For sure. For sure. And Totally also brought up that he plays underwater hockey. So you should,
I didn't know that
somehow, I didn't know it was a thing either, but apparently it completely is. He said you have this little stick and you have a little lead ball and you have to like dive down and play hockey with it.
I'm going to have to Google that later. I can't even imagine what that looks like.
I know. So quick question for you. What were you doing before Moonwalk? Or like what's your background?
Oh, yeah. So I always was, like, athletic and a big fan of just, like, health and wellness in general. I was, like, a D1 soccer player, not these days, I can't really run that much, but was always an
For
athlete.
who?
St. Bonaventure, small
Okay.
school, played for a month, long story, but always super active, athlete my whole life, but ended up got a degree in finance, was working in asset management in sales. So I was actually selling ETFs, mutual funds, private real estate funds, that sort of thing to family offices, money managers, financial advisors, that sort of thing. Um, After that, I had been on Twitter for several years and had just like made a lot of connections that way, even pre crypto. Ended up switching to work for a startup that was basically crypto for traditional like financial institutions, family offices, pensions, financial advisors, that sort of thing, which was the audience I worked with. Didn't know anything about crypto when I joined that firm. Ended up building and running an education platform for institutions on crypto, mostly just Bitcoin and kind of like the 101 level stuff.
Mhm.
Was hooked from that, ended up wanting to go a lot deeper down the rabbit hole, took a job with a project called Hero Network, which is on Solana, basically like derivatives and betting infrastructure. And teams could come build UIs on top of that. Definitely way different than what Moonwalk is, but was actually like just a big power user of Moonwalk, and which I don't do often with a lot of crypto apps, just candidly, not like a power user of very much. Which I feel like may be controversial versus a lot of people in the space, but I just keep it simple. Was using it a lot, advocating for it, super familiar with most of the team and like friends with a couple of the two of the three founders at the time. Um, and kind of just got brought in that way. It was like a natural fit. They had a lot of like development talent and a product guy already, but didn't have anyone that was more on the marketing, the comms, the publicly facing type of things like this, going on podcasts. And, you get a lot of anonymous people in crypto and a lot of engineers that are definitely not interested in doing that, or, that's not going to be like a good fit. So it was kind of like a missing puzzle piece for them and made sense to come over. I think I started back in June. But it feels like I've been working on this for way longer than that.
Yeah. And I mean, I have two things about this. One, you said you're not a DeFi power user. Are you saying you're not restaking with Judo right now?
I'm not
Because
restaking as much as I should
that
be. I'll start with that.
first of all, go stake, get some Judo Soul, not financial advice, and then restake it, which just launched today. You can go put it in some. I'm
Congrats.
not going to promote which ones, but that's a shock to me that you're not doing that. Wow, I'm
We're we're
offended. But
getting we're getting there more and more. I feel like it's like having these conversations is always a good reminder, but yeah, I'm always being
yeah,
shamed for that. So we'll go a little bit heavier into that as the year goes on.
good, good. And the second thing I wanted to say is like, we met I mean, like very briefly in Singapore,
Mhm.
and you like, I shook your hand, and I think you met my wife. She was standing right there. Um, and I looked at Laura and I was like, damn, did you feel the grip on that on Caitlin? I was like, she, she shook
I
my
get
hand.
that a lot.
You almost crushed my hand. So
I gotta
that
work
was
on that. My biggest pet peeve is, like, shaking hands with someone and it's like a limp noodle, though. I feel like
yeah.
well,
No,
it
you can't do that.
especially working in, industries with men too, I feel like it's
That's
like
right.
a power move a little bit, and now
Yeah,
I
you
do
got to come
it
in with like that. You gotta come in with that grip. The thing
yeah,
is, but I wasn't ready for it because honestly, like I come from traditional finance as well.
okay.
And yeah, that's like very old school thing. Like, I like my dad has a firm and I work for him, and like you work with all these old guys, and like, they like just like it's a key grip on your hand. But in crypto, it's not really a thing, right? You
No,
don't really it's not an old school thing. So like
people
when you
barely
did
have
that, like
social skills in crypto, so,
no,
like, we're
there's no
like
social skills. Yeah. Yeah, you don't touch people in crypto. First of all,
no,
it's like there's like a bubble.
you just fight
Um,
them verbally online. That's what most people have to do, so
yeah, like a teenager. Yes,
yeah.
exactly. But it was funny because there were two thoughts that went through my head when I shook your hand. Is one, like immediately brought me back to traditional finance, and two, I was like, she played college sports because I played college sports, and I was like, this she played college sports for sure. So that's why I asked.
What
But
did you
it's
play?
cool. I played basketball and
Oh, nice.
lacrosse, actually.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, like weird, probably similar story. I got hurt in basketball. Ended up just like walking onto the lacrosse team like my last
Mhm.
year for fun, and
Oh,
yeah,
love
played.
that.
So yeah. So anyway, but um, what I was gonna say, this all had a point, was that it's like it's like you seem like a perfect fit for Moonwalk, right? It's like founders living out, or at least like team members living out the ethos, right, of
Mhm.
the company, which is really cool to see.
I think you have to, right?
Yeah,
Like, you can't really outsource that either, right? Like, I talk to a lot of teams, you probably get this as well, of like, "Oh, yeah, we're looking to outsource, like, XYZ," and so much of it's, like, so like, the literal core ethos of the business. I'm like, you can't really outsource that in an
yeah,
authentic way and, like, actually assume that it'll stick. Like, our
yeah,
whole team is super active, using Moonwalk regularly, really believe in it. Like, we're definitely active people before this as well. So, like, you kind of have to live the brand if you want the brand to be like something that people remember and actually buy into. Because if you're not buying into it, why would anyone else?
yeah,
Yeah.
100%, exactly, especially with like a fitness app. Like,
Yeah. You don't,
you kind of got to.
who would trust a fitness app if the people that were working on it were just like extremely unhealthy? That would be the
Yeah.
biggest red flag.
Yeah, exactly. And I know Marvius as well. Played golf with him in Utah a couple weeks ago. We've talked about doing some cool stuff, rock climbing,
He was
golfing
just telling
trips.
me about that. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Got
yeah.
to do it.
I really want both him and I have traveled a bunch and done some like interesting things abroad. And I was like, you know what we should do as like a cool like Jito Moonwalk kind of collab project was go climb Kilimanjaro,
Yes.
um,
Can you
which would be
sign me up
awesome.
for that too?
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah, you
sick.
can come for sure. My wife wants to do it as well.
Let's go.
We've been there. Been around Kili, but we didn't climb it on that
Mhm.
trip. And ever since then, I've been like, man, that would be
Have to
such
go
a
back.
cool. You have to go back. Yeah, because it's not like a technical climb. Like I've done technical mountains before.
Mhm.
But it's just like a long, long hike.
Yeah.
Um, Also it's a place in Africa that gets snow, which is
Right.
really cool.
Yeah.
That's that's pretty awesome.
We're gonna have to
Um,
go moonwalk there for sure.
Yes, exactly. We could do
On
like
the
a
list.
steps counter. That would be interesting to do, like steps counter all the way up Kili. That'd be
Yeah,
really cool.
yeah. See, this is like a
Um,
content generation session now. Thank you for this.
no problem.
Yeah,
I have plenty of ideas. My problem is that I have too many of these ideas and I don't have the time or funding to do all
that
of them.
happens to me
So
too, but we'll figure
yeah.
a way around it.
Yeah. So anyway, I asked your background to get us back on track here, because I wanted to talk to you about like actually growing the strategy to grow Moonwalk.
Mhm,
I think that there's probably some people out there that watch this podcast that are, first time founders, building a business, interested in marketing and comms and growth and all those, kind of fringe topics that we don't really talk about in crypto. We tend to talk about the more technical side of things, but
mhm.
we don't talk about like the actual business side of things as much. So I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Like, what is your strategy going forward to grow Moonwalk?
Yeah, I mean, there's like a lot to get into there, but I do think that a big part of it is, and you sort of mentioned this, but taking the like online communities that you can build. And I think crypto has historically done a pretty strong job of that, of like building these like online cults. I want to do that in person. Like Moonwalk has built a great product and like the app that's coming out is going to do that even more so. But like, I think where the rubber meets the road on like actual community building and making it really sticky is creating really unique and meaningful and memorable in-person experiences and helping people make connections that way that have common interests with them. So, I mean, for something like Moonwalk, it's really easy because anything it's like health and wellness related, you could go a lot of places with that, which is, you were saying you have all these like ideas and kind of have to like pick and choose, obviously, right? With like the resources and time. It's going to be the same for us too. But a way that I've been thinking about this, and we've kind of started doing this a bit with crypto native ambassadors, is we recently launched a Moonwalk Global Ambassador program. We have like 20 or 25 right now. And we're starting with, and you could think of the ways that this could expand to like fitness influencers or athletes or whatever the case may be, is finding people that are super passionate about the product, that are true believers in it, same, kind of following the ethos of it and living it like we are, and making them an extension of us and of the brand. Finding people who align with it, that live in different places, different geographies, different countries, have different circles, and like using them as well to like create in-person events that maybe our team's not there, but the Moonwalk presence is super strong, and we're building out these local communities in different places, regardless of us being there IRL or not. So, like as an example, I'm making a spreadsheet right now of like upcoming events globally for Moonwalk, and we have Nigeria for like several events in the coming months. There's been talk of like Ghana, Venezuela, Thailand, and those are just a few. We're doing one for Art Basel in Miami as well, which is going to be super fun. But just getting and planting a flag in all of these different places, and we've had ambassadors that have been incredibly enthusiastic about wanting to spread this around. Like we even posted a video a couple weeks ago. One of our ambassadors did right after we kind of started the program, like a weekend. He's like, "Oh, I want to host an event locally in Nigeria." Had at least 60, 70 people there just going for a hike, and had some amazing content from it. People were really happy about it. They're like begging this guy to host more events locally, and like everyone is so happy to be there. And they did a hike and did like fitness workouts at the top of the mountain, and it was just something that I would not have expected this early. But I want to bring that to as many places as possible. And I do think that the energy and kind of the passion for it's very contagious. But it's just kind of taking this product that we've built, which people can use anywhere, and turning it into these like in-person communities. Like I keep making a joke that I'm building a fitness cult, but I do kind of think that's the way I want to go about it, of like we want people to be so passionate about this that they're like naturally and organically bringing it to the people in their lives, and it just spreads this like positive chain reaction where we're all moving towards a healthier lifestyle with like a really positive fun group of people and just growing it from there. So that's like a really big part. And then as a consumer app, like it's going to be a lot of marketing spend, like in terms of
Yeah.
like advertisement and events and really cool like merchandise and creating fun experiences. And it's going to be a lot of that. And then, you know, if we find say influencers or different companies that are way more established in like the health and wellness or fitness sort of uh avenue, like we'll know when those partnerships make sense, and we'll like help each other grow organically from that, like where it makes sense too. But that's where I'm starting with it. It's going to be more individual users and kind of building community that way from the start. And then I think there's going to be, you know, we'll see what pops up from that. But even in early days, it's been like the ideas that have come forth for like things that we could do are pretty crazy. We just want to have an app that is easy to onboard people to and gives them a good experience before we start like going super heavy on the spend there.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's gonna be much easier once the app is up and running, right?
Yeah.
Like I was thinking about it as you were talking about it. It would be cool to like have the app, like everyone in their local city could just like organize little like, meetups, run clubs, whatever. You
Mhm.
could also push into there's this whole movement on, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, like run clubs. I don't know if you've heard of
Yep.
like raw dog
Yeah.
run club.
Yeah.
um like those types of groups I think would be so cool to like partner with, sponsor like
Mhm.
a raw dog run club meetup in
Yeah.
LA or something. But and then like obviously like people could just host their own. Like I was thinking about like the people in my life that I could, you know, like rally to come out for like, a short run or whatever, and everyone like
Mhm.
signs up for the app. I'm just gonna like force people to download this app.
There
I'm
you
gonna
go.
have them
Yeah.
show up. I'm gonna promise them coffee or something, and then when they
Mhm.
get there, I'm gonna be like, oh, by the way, you all have to download this app right now, and I'm just gonna like force feed them.
Yeah. No, that's the way. Well, I also think too, like to your point, so many of the groups are already out there. It's not even
Yeah,
necessarily like building it from scratch. It's like this is a product that adds a new element that people have never really seen before related to fitness with the financial incentives part. So a lot of people, part of the target audience is people who like, you know, maybe haven't necessarily been living the healthiest and want to get started, and they need something like this to hold themselves accountable. That's like first and foremost. But
mhm,
I think it adds a really interesting element for really healthy people that are already active to, you know, have the opportunity to potentially earn from contests and, you know, try to grow it that way.
yeah,
It just adds like a fun element to, you know, the run clubs or other groups that you're already a part of. So I think that's going to be big as well. A couple of our ambassadors are like super pumped to onboard like their gyms and their run clubs. And like,
yeah.
it just feels like a natural extension to me, which is pretty easy.
Yep. Yep. That's pretty cool. Yeah, it's funny, like the whole financial incentive thing is like people I mean, there's been many studies done on this, but people are more incentivized by like not losing what they have more
Yep.
than gaining, right? So my dad and I used to actually we played the Moonwalk game before it was Moonwalk, where we would like put up money And then it was like, if you didn't meet your goal, your fitness goal, you would lose that money, right? And I
Mhm.
was always incentivized more by losing my money than like my dad paying me, to
Right.
like meet that goal or whatever. So yeah, anyway, really cool idea. Like, I want to do more of this type of stuff because I think like our goal at Midcurve is to like, one, bring new people into the space,
Mhm.
get people hooked on Judo Soul, obviously. But two, like build the best builders in the space.
Mhm.
And I think part of being a really good founder or builder is being healthy.
Mhm.
And like I
Agree.
think everyone kind of knows this intuitively. Like, you're going to be more efficient if you're healthy. So um, I think there's a lot that we could do with like Midcurve and like organize and Judo and organizing Moonwalk events.
Yeah, we can compare notes after. I do think the founder part's huge though. I don't have
Yep.
money to angel invest really right now, but if I did, that would be I've tweeted this before. It's like if I don't know, if the founder's not fit or prioritizing their health, I'd probably not put my money towards it. Like if you can't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of anything else? Like you
Yeah,
have to have
and
a house order.
it's a leading indicator of discipline, right? And
Mhm.
also, like, I don't know if you've seen I don't know, it was like um an index this guy built, and it was all founders or like CEOs that lifted or
Mhm.
deadlifted. and it was like kind of a joke, but honestly his index was doing really well. So I was like, oh man, that's actually kind of a good idea.
Yeah.
um by the way, your tweets, like some of your tweets are kind of spicy. You just like fire those, like you fire those from the hip or what? Do you
Yeah.
plan those out?
Oh no, I've been doing the like shooting my tweets from the hip for like the last decade. So
Yeah.
it's you just have to roll with it. At this point too, it's like you know what you can say and can't say and what you can get away with and what you can't. So I feel like it's pretty easy to just fire them off. And like you got to
Yeah.
keep people guessing a little bit. I mean, not doing that from the Moonwalk account obviously, but from my own like it's paid off way more than it's like caused issues. So I'm just going to keep running the playbook.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, 100%. Cool. Okay, I think we're coming up on time here. So is there anything else that you want us to know about Moonwalk or just crypto in general, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, for Moonwalk right now, points meta is gone. I know that's like been beaten to death. Will say Moonwalk is doing it a bit differently, but we do have like a leaderboard I keep saying in app, but like on the site right now, with like thousands of people on it now, which is great because people are using what we've built, which is always nice. But I would say use Moonwalk early, use it often, try to climb that leaderboard. And like everything for earning our like experience points is what we call them, is all based around it's not like farmable activities. It's you have to sign up for games and hit the goals you say you're going to hit and do that consistently and be a regular user of the platform. And then even like referrals only count if the person that you referred joins games. So it's very much like an actual like activity based type of program, and you're like putting yourself up for potential to earn future rewards by earning XP right now. um no telling what those rewards are, but uh, that's like a fun element to it that I think has been not discussed enough. And I mean, we haven't been shilling it a ton, but I do think that the people that have been loyal users of this and actually believe in kind of using what we're building right now are putting themselves in a good spot, and it adds like another fun element to the contest that people are joining. So I would say pay attention to that. And I mean, I already talked about the app, but just in the coming weeks, like follow along with Moonwalk because it's going to be coming around pretty quick. I'm not going to be the growth person that tells everyone prematurely like when the devs are going live with something because that always changes, but it's going to be coming up really quick. So if there's anyone in your life that you're thinking would be a good fit or like a product like this, it's almost their time.
Yep. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you for coming on. We'll talk soon. And actually, we'll probably have you on again and like whenever the app comes out and we can go through the app and talk about it.
Perfect. Yeah, let's do it. Always free.